Hey friends, it's time for more custom Thomas Wooden Railway model videos, aka the series I like to call Geek Race Customs, where I show off all of the beautiful custom engines that mostly other people have made for me, and today is no exception. This is a red NWR Rosie engine that was made by the beautiful and talented Miss Annie C. Guys, I look at a lot of awesome custom engines and rolling stock in this series, but this custom right here is unlike anything else I've ever had in my collection. It looks like something that should have come out of a major toy factory, maybe not Mattel's, but this custom is absolutely unbelievable. I've been waiting to show this off for a very long time. And unfortunately, Annie C has been kind enough to provide me with some notes, some little fun facts about what went into making this custom engine. So guys, wow, let's get this video started. So, if you have watched this series before, or maybe if you've seen my collection videos, you may already know that I do have another Red Rosie in my collection. It was actually the 5th custom video I ever made, and it was by Domeless Engine. And my intention was to introduce Red Rosie into my series, however, that has not happened as of right now. But since then, Annie C has made a couple of these custom Red Rosie engines for other people, one of them belonging to Enterprising Engine 93, and I also believe Turtles and Thomas has one as well. And when I saw the finished product, and it looked very similar to the Red Rosie that you see on screen here, I was absolutely in love with the attention to detail and how this all turned out. And I immediately contacted her and I said, Annie C, you have to make me one of these Red Rosies. It is the most beautiful custom I have ever seen. So this is why I ended up with a second one, and I'll talk more about Red Rosie as far as my series goes in the future. But anyway, let's take a trip back in time a couple of years. This is your normal stock standard Rosie. This was made by Learning Curve. I can't remember specifically the years, but it was made over a decade ago. Rosie was introduced into the TV series in her model form, and actually as the TV series has progressed through the CGI switchover, she has continued to make very regular appearances, which is honestly quite astonishing. Some characters kind of fall off the face of the earth. We never see them again, and they're brought back and all this and that, but Rosie's a little bit different. She didn't appear too much in her model form, but then when the CGI switchover happened, she's actually appeared very regularly and actually appears into the TV series as of today. There is another version of this Rosie. It looks exactly like this one, except it has that face right there. You can see that the faces are different. So the one you're looking at on screen right now is the Learning Curve version. There was also a Tomy version that was produced, but that was a CGI face that didn't look too right, so I never got it in my collection. But this is the Rosie that I've used in my series for a very, very long time, as recently as season 15. And honestly, I really like Rosie in this color. It's a very feminine color, but I feel like it suits her well. And I never really had any problems with Rosie's pink livery. But then as the CGI series, the official Thomas series has progressed, somewhere along the line they did decide to update Rosie's color. I don't really know like the details behind that. I don't think a lot of people know the details why that was done. But basically, the very first version of Rosie we got in Wooden Railway form in her new color looks like this. This is the unpainted Thomas Wood version. I've shown this off in my previous Red Rosie custom that was made by Domeless Engine, and the verdict still stands. I'm not a very big fan of this item at all. However, the one thing I did like was the face. I thought they got the face pretty good with the freckles and everything, so on that Domeless Engine custom, I did have an extra one of these and I cut the face off. Now, since the making of that video, Thomas Wood has undergone some changes. They have introduced a fully painted Thomas Wood version of Red Rosie. I do not have that engine in my collection as of right now, which is why I'm unable to show it off here. But this custom by Annie C is far and away so much better than anything Mattel could ever dream of producing. So let's take an in-depth look here into this beautiful custom. Basically, I remember Annie C asked me a few questions about the detailing. It had to do with like the yellow on the sides here and the size of the number, and even just some of the finer detailing. But honestly, I left most of the decisions up to her. I trusted her, being the maker of this beautiful custom, to kind of just do it right. One thing that absolutely amazes me is the wheels here. I can't believe just how perfect they are. I mean, it just blows my mind. I don't know how Annie C was able to get the lining so perfectly. I mean, that looks like it came straight out of a factory, and it just blows my mind every time I look at it. The lining here is exceptional, especially up along the top where the dome is. You know, a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, painted wood Rosie isn't that bad actually, but you kind of forget, oh yeah, you're missing the lamp up front, you're missing the domes, you're also missing a lot of the finer detailing as well. So while it is, I'd say it is a model of Red Rosie, I wouldn't say it's the best thing ever by far. There's still a lot of work to be done for the Thomas Wood range. The problem is when we start to accept things like this, they just get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, and by then it's too late to change anything. So, wow, just looking at this, I mean, this looks like it was painted by machines, and, you know, they had, you know, I imagine lasers coming out and engraving in this, and I cannot, words could not describe the happiness that brings this model to me. It is it's one of the most incredible pieces of craftsmanship that I think I've ever laid eyes upon. And I'm not just saying that to say it, I truly mean it. Underneath here, we do have Annie C's signature. Unfortunately, I've come along with my greasy fingers and kind of rubbed off the C there, but she had a little rainbow heart, which was a nice touch. So yes, this was a Mattel 2013 Rosie that I had her paint up. Originally, I was thinking about having her paint this up and then swapping out the wood face like I did on the previous custom, but I've actually kind of grown to like this face a lot more as I've stared at it. And well, I don't think Rosie has ever had a bad face. I don't think that's a bad Rosie face either. I have actually grown to like this one a little bit more. So the one piece of handiwork that I played a role in with this model, because this was all done by Annie C, the painting, the lining, everything. The one thing that that was left up to me was this lamp here. This lamp is actually Victor's lamp, and it is from the old version of the domeless engine custom that I had. And since I'm not going to be using that custom in any videos, I decided to take that lamp off. And I think I did have to use some super glue or Gorilla Glue to get it to stick on. I tried using some like putty or super tack, whatever you want to call it, to get it to stay. And the problem was, first of all, you could see the white tack sitting on top near the funnel, and the second part is that it wasn't strong enough to hold it there. So I had to come in with some pretty serious glue to get it to stay on there. But that really seals the deal, because, you know, Rosie's transformation is twofold. We get a color change, but then she also gains a lamp, and it's in such a prominent position right above her face that it's very, very hard to ignore. And that's one of the things with the wood here, is that, yeah, we're missing the dome, we're missing the lamp. It's just a very incomplete model. Even the painted version is still very, very incomplete. So that's why I will always defer to custom engines over anything that's going to be produced in the Thomas Wood line, because we're still missing a lot of the detailing. I don't think Mattel would take the time to paint the wheels or add the yellow or anything like that. So yeah, that's just kind of an in-hand appraisal of this beautiful custom. Like I said, I just love it so much, and I'm very thankful that Annie C sent me some notes about the custom making process, because it's one thing for me to sit here and talk about what she did, but hopefully this will provide some insight to other custom model makers out there if you want to try something like this. So Annie C says it was done without a base coat of primer. She just applied the red paint until she got the shade of red that she needed. So that's very interesting. It was done without a primer, and she just kind of kept, I'm guessing, just applying the paint until she got the color right. She said she used a special paint called Americana Gloss Enamels that gave it the shiny Thomas Wooden Railway-esque finish. So a shout out to that company or that paint, because that definitely sealed the deal here. She said she did the lining and the detail work with ultra-fine paint pens, and she covered the wheels with a coat of clear nail polish. That is a trick that she owes to Hero the Japanese Train, and yes, I have talked about that trick in other videos. So the wheels aren't super shiny, but they're on the level of shininess, maybe even a little bit more that you would expect from like an actual Thomas Wooden Railway engine, so I really like it. Yes, looking at the model here, you can see that the whole thing is shiny, And I'm guessing what she's talking about there is there was just like some protected paint, clear paint that she put over this so that, for example, my hands don't come along like on the bottom here and start to rub it off or anything. To hold something like this in your hands is just like an out-of-body experience. I can't believe I have this in my collection. It's just amazing. Let's see what else Annie C has to say. So she did the lining with ultra-fine paint pens, which is how she was able to get the lining up top here exactly right. I always wondered that. I was wondering, how do you paint something that perfect? I mean, I know you could maybe like tape it off or something like that, but that actually makes a lot of sense. And one other thing I got to give a shout out to, I mean, the painting here, how do you get the paint so close to the smoke box there and not get it on the actual smoke box or underneath, for example? That is just incredible. I mean, there's not even like any touch-up work that appears to have gone on there. It's just unbelievable. Annie C also says she used several different sizes of brushes to apply the red paint. Okay, that makes sense, which really helps for reaching in all of the corners and crevices because Rosie has a ton of those for some reason. And that's true. She's a very detailed model. And normally you don't have to worry about those crevices if these are made in the factory because they come out for the most part looking just fine. But since Annie C is the maker of this model, that actually makes a lot of sense. So that's how one of the reasons, even up top here, the red right there, yeah, all of that had to be applied somehow. And even on the back there, I mean, this is a model you can look at for hours and just continue to find little bits and pieces of custom making magic in there. Annie C says that's really all that she remembers. This custom did take a while. I think I asked for her custom model making services, I guess it would be the summer of 2018. And it took a couple of months, and I imagine she did the work on and off. I can't imagine her sitting at her desk doing this in one go, obviously. But so this engine has been in my collection for a little while, but the custom making process did take a little while. However, at that time, I was in the middle of season 15, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with Rosie anyway, so it was not that big of a deal. But guys, I think I don't really have anything else to show off here except for, once again, this just beautiful custom. I've tweeted about it. I'll probably talk about it some more. And when Rosie makes her way into my series in this red form, I will be using this version of Rosie. It is just absolutely beautiful. I mean, words are failing me right now. I don't know what else to say other than I'm so extremely lucky and thankful to Annie C for making this custom for me, but the fact that I get to include this in my videos is just amazing. And it really shows how talented some people are out there and how ordinary people who like Thomas and Friends and Thomas Wooden Railway can make these beautiful customs that, without a doubt, are 100, light years ahead of something that comes out of a Fisher-Price or Mattel factory. So I think I'm going to leave this custom video at that. Once again, I cannot thank the beautiful and talented Annie C enough for providing me with this. She's had a couple of goes at this because I believe the Enterprising engine model and the Turtles and Thomas versions were made before mine, but still, I'm very, very thankful and happy to have this in my collection. And once again, shout out to Annie C for just her incredible craftsmanship. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I see a lot of awesome custom Thomas Wooden Railway engines, and I hate to compare them to each other, but this is by far the most professional looking custom I have ever seen in my entire life, and I'm so thankful to have it in my collection. So once again, thank you, Annie C, and thank you to the viewer out there for watching these videos. I got a lot more custom Thomas Wooden Railway models coming up. So guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate your support, and I'll see you guys on the next video.